There was a season in my life where calling a family member felt like bracing for impact. I never knew which version of them I'd get. Sometimes it was sadness, sometimes it was anger, real anger actually, and directed at me and my brothers, and nobody in particular as well. Sometimes it was paranoia, accusations that made no sense at all, but still landed like they were real and they were true. And sometimes in the middle of all of that, there were moments of the person I used to know. And somehow those were the hardest ones to sit with. I loved them, but I also dreaded picking up the phone. And then I'd hang up, feel terrible about dreading. If you are in something that like that right now, a relationship that used to feel easy and now feels like work, or one that has always been complicated and lately feels heavier than usual or than ever, I want you to start here where you're carrying, and what you're carrying is real. The exhaustion is real, and nobody talks about this enough. Here's the story that we tell ourselves. If you really loved them, we'd have more patience. Or frustration means something bad about us. Good people don't feel depleted by someone they care about. So I would like to offer you a different frame here. Feeling depleted is not a character flaw, it's information. It's your nervous system telling you that it is doing a lot, more than most people can see from the outside, and that it needs something too. Because here's what nobody tells you about emotionally heavy relationships. They are physically exhausting. When you're in interactions that feel unpredictable or tense, or where we are bracing for what might come next, our nervous system responds as if there is a real threat. It doesn't matter that the threat isn't physical. Your body doesn't distinguish between something dangerous, the saber-toothed tiger, and a person you love who is in pain and sometimes directing the pain at you. The activation is real either way. And over time, repeated activation without enough recovery adds up. So you start arriving at interactions already braced, and you carry the relationships with you into the parts of your day where you're supposed to be off the clock from it. So you feel tired in a way that sleep doesn't fully fix. And that is not weakness, that is your nervous system doing exactly what it is designed to do. This is beautiful, actually, even though it's freaking exhausting, isn't it? It's designed to do, and it's designed to do that in a situation that is genuinely asking a lot of it. So, what has actually helped me? A few things. And one of them might surprise you. The first one I want to talk about is scent, because this became a real anchor for me during that season. And I want to explain why it works. Not just tell you to light a candle and hope for the best. Before every hard phone call, I would oil up. That's just what I call it. I'd reach to my oil or to my oils, and I had a specific one which I loved to use to cover myself in light, but also put something grounding on my wrists, on my chest, take a moment with it before I'd pick up the phone. And after a call, same thing. Sometimes I needed even more afterwards to signal my body that the hard thing was over and it was safe to come back down. So I would clean the space, for example. And before I would cover my aura and my body into white light, which was beautiful and gives you your own space. So yes, I did this consistently, and I still do it now on those days when I don't feel stable enough going into something difficult. And here's why it actually works, because this isn't woo-woo. There is real science behind it. Scent is the only one of our senses that has a direct pathway to the limbic system in our brain, the part of the brain that processes emotion and memory. Every other sense goes through a kind of relay station first, gets processed, then reaches the emotional centers. Scent bypasses all of that. It arrives directly, which means it can shift your emotional state faster than almost anything else you can do in a moment. So when you are activated, when your nervous system is already braced or coming down from something hard, your thinking brain is not fully online. You can't always talk yourself into calm. But a familiar grounding scent or something that is clearing your space can reach the part of your brain that regulates emotion before thinking brain even gets involved. So that's why it worked for me, not as a magic fix. I don't have wands. Sorry about that. As an anchor, something my nervous system learned to associate with settling. And over time, just reaching for the bottle started to trigger that response before I'd even opened it. I do have to say, to make this work, it has to be quality. You cannot do this with a something you bought at a gas station or in a I don't know, in a pharmacy. So, but here's another thing. Alongside the oils, a few other things genuinely helped as well. Learning the difference between pulling away and protecting myself, because they look from the outside the very same, but they feel completely different. Pulling away is reactive. Protecting yourself is intentional. It's recognizing that you have a finite amount of emotional energy and making deliberate choices about how you spend it. And this is exactly the thing that a good friend and psychologist told me. You have the choice. But to get to that point, to recognize that I have a choice or that you have the choice, we have to pull our nervous system out of this reactive mode, just to step back or step away a step and make the choice, realizing you have the choice. So leaving before you hit your limit rather than staying in until you're empty, deciding what you will and won't engage with. And it's another choice you have without having to explain it to anyone. And that's not giving up on someone, that's loving them in a way that is sustainable also for yourself. And finding somewhere for the feelings that had nowhere to go, because there are things you cannot say to the person who is causing you pain. I'm grieving who you used to be. I'm angry at you, even though I know you're suffering. I love you and but I also sometimes wish I could step back from all of this. Those feelings are real and valid, and they need somewhere to go that isn't directed at the person. That person cannot realize that. That person cannot take that. And for that, writing can be a really good thing, not polished journaling, just the unfiltered brain dump, the unfiltered version of what is in your head, getting out of the nervous system and onto something outside of you. And also talking to people who weren't in the middle of it with you. Each of that, or even in combination, makes the feelings lighter. Not gone, lighter. So my family came through the hardest phases of that season, but still are suffering from what is going on. I'm genuinely grateful we didn't have to do it perfectly to get here. It wasn't perfect. We were depleted, upset, scared. What's coming? The unexpected, and grieving all the time as well. And we kept going, and we do still go. So you don't have to do it perfectly either. And you just have to keep going but take care of yourself while you do that. So if that is something that is you feel that is connecting with you at the moment, and I wrote a full blog post this week that goes deeper into the practical side of all of this, the nervous system piece, the guilt, the tools, the reframe that helped me the most. You can check that out in the description below and you will find the link. It's worth a read if any of this landed for you. And I will see you in the next one.